Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our NXT review. And you know what? I gotta say, I really like tonight's episode of NXT. And I think the driving reason why I liked it so much, so many acts that aren't necessarily on the forefront got spotlighted tonight. In the women's division, we got an unexpected, winner. They may be about to be looking at a mini push, getting in a program separate from the championship. That would be interesting. In the tag division, we got a heel team that may be kind of finding their way finally. Also in the tag division, TM61 got in my mind what was segment of the night because I love when they do those intimate spotlights of performers. I mean, just all around, it really felt like, in a way, old school NXT mentality meets new school performers. And I really dug it. So, Ashton, I'm curious, though, what did you think about tonight's episode of NXT?
You know, it's funny because you and I both enjoyed this episode, but I think we enjoyed it for very different reasons. Because I enjoyed it almost exclusively because of the hype that we got for TakeOver Philadelphia. I am so psyched for that show. It's unbelievable. And yet you just got done saying that you enjoyed the show mostly because of some of like the less frequently used performers getting spotlighted, like TM61, like Lacey Evans, etc. So we both loved this show, but for different reasons. And I think that really does go to show you how good this show was, because I didn't necessarily like some of the stuff that you are basically saying was the reason you liked the show in the first place. And you loved it. So I'm really, really interested to hear some of your thoughts on some of those segments, especially the women's segment, which we'll get to. But my segment of the night, I mean, you said your segment of the night was TM61. My segment of the night, Johnny Gargano.
Hey, I know how much of a fan you've become of Gargano. I know how much of a fan of Gargano everybody seems to be, and I can't blame them. He is a quality babyface. But hey, clearly, this feels like it has potential to be a discussion-heavy NXT. So let's quit stalling. Let's get right into our first segment. Heat of the night. I got no heats the night tonight. I'm really excited to go down like how each division was spotlighted in a positive way in my mind. What about you? Any heats the night? Any nitpicks?
Oh, I kind of do want to give one nitpick, but I'm kind of apprehensive about really dedicating myself and committing to it.
Okay, well, why don't you just let it out and, we'll kind of talk about it.
Why is Lacey Evans trying to sound like she's from a movie that's a period piece from the 1800s or something?
And to me, like, I'm used to it because this isn't the first time she's talked this way. Like, I've heard her talk this way before. So, really, a bad character is a bad character. To me, I'm not going to go so hard at it yet because this is the first time that she may be somewhat seriously spotlighted. And hopefully she gets polished and refined a bit along the way. I really don't know how I feel about it. She got a good crowd reaction. She got the heat she was looking for. Maybe it's something that'll work. I'll keep an open mind to it. I know it's a bit weird because, I know what you mean. She kind of sounds like, she's come from like a 1940s Hollywood picture or something. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just see where it goes. That's really all I can say about it for right now.
Yeah, that was my biggest like WTF moment of the show. Was like, now like Lacey Evans is like, I don't know, man. Like you said 1940s, and that's probably more apropos than what I said 1800s. But it really does like remind me of those like stereotypical radio voice actresses that you would hear when we were watching Agent Carter. Do you know what
right. Yeah.
like, oh, help me, Superman, or help me, Captain America, or whatever it was. Like, that's what her promo reminded me of. Like, can we not go backwards, please?
I mean, you know what though? But maybe like that's the source of the heat because she feels like she's this.
I will say though, I want to give her some credit, because even though I don't like the fake accent, which is clearly fake because literally no human being alive today has that accent, but I thought she had one of the best female promos that we've heard in NXT in a long ass time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, I'm not saying, and please understand, even though I'm enthused about a lot of the spotlighting we got tonight, that's not to say that those that got spotlighted are perfect by any means. I just like that they got spotlighted because, it is something different. And this is what we're here for. We're here to see these acts kind of mature and grow. And Lacey Evans, to me, I'm curious where this will go, especially given the first person she called out. I don't know if that means she's going to feud with said person. I would hope that it does because it's different. But yeah, I mean, I'm willing to keep an open mind to this. I'm curious to see how how our promos may or may not evolve, and I'll be more critical as time goes on. It's just now I think we're really going to get to have a nice sample size of Lacey's work going forward. It seems like she's going to be more heavily featured. So we'll see.
Yeah, to me, really, like my only problem with her promo was the fake accent because
Right.
her delivery, like her confidence, her delivery, the way that she said what she said, and the content of her promo were all spot on. Like I said, to me, I would say this is the best promo that we've gotten from a female performer in NXT since that Nikki Cross sit down interview.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And
And that's
yeah,
not even necessarily like the biggest shining light on Lacey Evans. Like, I'm not trying to say Lacey Evans is like this amazing, incredible, perfect promo by any means.
no, certainly not.
She's just the best of a mediocre bunch because really the NXT women are not good promos as a rule of thumb, unfortunately. And it's really not even just the NXT women. WWE women in the WWE in general, it seems like they're trained more just how to work and maybe like work a character rather than being taught like the full and you know what, I can't even just say it's the women too because a lot of the guys in WWE can't cut a friggin' promo anymore either. There are like 10 or 15 people in the WWE that I would trust with a mic without a script for 30 seconds and not feel like I had to curl up into a ball and kill myself from the cringe.
I honestly feel like the best female promo in NXT is the Iconic Duo. Like I feel
Yeah,
like yeah.
absolutely. And the thing is, like, their promos aren't like these awesome, like, Jake the Snake, Harley Race type promos. They're just entertaining. And that's all you can ask for anymore because our standards have got to be low because WWE's promos are not good anymore.
That's certainly true. I feel like this has the
I mean,
potential
hell,
to
the
be a
face, the guy that they're trying to push as the next face of the company stumbles over his lines in every promo almost.
yeah. Yeah, it's I think this has potential to be a much like broader and interesting discussion, on the state of promos, but really just bringing it full circle. I'm curious if Lacey Evans, like I clearly this is her voice right now. I'm curious if that voice will evolve or stagnate. Again, when I see more of her, like today, you can see I'm kind of, soft on because I'm tentative. I'm excited that we're doing something new. By next month, if she's getting as featured as I think she's going to be, as I anticipate, I may be far more critical by the next time we meet up here. That remains to be seen. But yeah, I'll have more to say when we get to our actual match later. With that said, are there any other nitpicks you wanted to air out?
No, no, no. That was the only time throughout this entire show that I rolled my eyes. Everything else was solid to great.
All right, fair enough. Then, with that said, let us get right into our NXT review. And we open up with tag team action Heavy Machinery versus Sabatelli and Moss. And what did you think about this tag team match?
I barely paid attention to it because I don't give a shit about either one of these teams anymore.
Oh, that's kind of a shame because I didn't think it was a bad match. In fact, I actually kind of like the booking of it in a way because Heavy Machinery as the baby faces, like they were clearly the superior team in
Oh, you
ring.
know what? I will say I did take the note that I love when Dozovic did like the worm basically into the elbow drop. Morrow called it the caterpillar, and the reason that's perfect is because isn't Caterpillar like a name brand for a type of forklift?
I'm not sure, but if it is, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Morrow did his homework to that extent. He just strikes me as that type of guy.
I'm gonna
That's
Google
amazing.
Caterpillar brand, and I'm gonna.
Yeah, while you do that, I'll continue to give my thoughts on this. So as I was saying, like I enjoyed the booking in the sense of like clearly the heel, not the heels, the baby
Yeah.
phases were the better athletes and the dominant force, and they dominated like 95% of this match. I thought Tucker Knight showed a bit more personality too, which was great. I think maybe Otis is kind of rubbing off on him a little bit. He did some nice hip tosses, had good power game going there, seemed to, be a bit more infused with his personality. But what I like on the Sabatelli and Moss side was that, again, they were controlling 95% of the match. And then Moss all of a sudden rolls up, I want to say, Tucker Knight and gets his foot on the ropes and they get the 3 count. So it was really the booking of these heels are getting manhandled, but they get one opening and they get the most out of it and get the win. So I actually liked it. I thought it was a pretty decent opener. I mean, not a tag team clinic by any means. I mean, we're still not back at that golden age when it was DIY Revival and all those guys, but it was a serviceable tag team match, I thought.
Yeah. I looked it up and yeah, I was right. Caterpillar is literally a brand of heavy machinery. You can get cranes, forklifts, all that shit, backhoes, everything. Yeah, Caterpillar brand. I love it. Morrow is a commentary genius, and I love that name for that move. I love everything about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Heavy machinery is great. Sabatelli and Moss getting the win here. And again, I like it because even if you're not a fan of these guys, and I get that, like, it's nice that other acts that aren't so prominent in this and that are getting their time to shine and mature and get to see, are they going to be something or are they a bust? And I don't know. I still think that in 2018, these guys, I'm not saying they'll be NXT tag team champions, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were a part of an NXT tag team championship match at some point this year. Like, I do think they're going to slowly be primed as heel contenders, maybe even for the team that eventually beats Red Dragon, Fish and O'Reilly as part of the Undisputed Era. So that's all I got to say about that match. Sabatelli and Moss win. You said that you really didn't give a shit about either of these teams, so I'm guessing you don't really have much else to say, and we can move on.
Let me put it this way. If you would switch the members of these teams around and it was Sabatelli or no, you know what? Never mind. No, I just really, it's not even that I don't care about either one of these teams. It's that I genuinely don't give a single shit about Moss and Sabatelli. And by the transitive property, it makes me care less about whoever they're facing. And I've never been the biggest fan of heavy machinery, but I love me some Otis Dozovic.
Right. Like, I feel like if Otis was to
Like,
ever
there's
have
one guy in this entire match that I cared about, and he was the one guy that had like a noteworthy moment for me too, and that was Dozovic.
Right, and I feel like if Otis were to ever go on a singles run, like, that would definitely get, like, your attention a little bit just to see, like, how far he could go with it. Because he's definitely got, a great personality and everything for it. And, it's funny because, like, we just got done reviewing WrestleMania 5 recently. I feel like this is a team that would have done really well in that era because it was really the colorful characters and, all that stuff. And Otis just exemplifies that. And Tucker, again, I think he's slowly starting to find a bit of personality with his offense as well, which is great because they should both be able to get in on it. So yeah, but I mean, personality wasn't enough. Sabatelli and Moss win, and nothing more I can say than that. So what came after this?
Yeah, after this, we had our big Undisputed Era promo. I love these guys, man. It's so weird when you realize that the promo quality in the WWE as a whole has dropped so much that 3 ROH guys can come in and their promos feel like they're on another level compared to everyone else.
Even Bobby Fish's lines were good tonight.
Bobby Fish is a genuinely good promo, and that's not just relative to WWE. Like, he is an above average promo, and it feels like even above average is exceptional in NXT because of the relativity factor, because everyone else is so mediocre.
Right, yeah.
It's so sad.
I love too, by the way, that again, like, what's old is new again, right? Because I love with the Undisputed Era, they've got that NWO quality where their promos are separated from everybody else, and you've got their music playing in the background, and they're just like talking about, like, what they're currently involved in. I love the whole aesthetic of when they deliver promos that aren't in ring. I think it's really cool. And Adam Cole talks about his Extreme Rules match at TakeOver Philadelphia with Aleister Black as if that's supposed to scare him. And, he says that he's going to, mangle Aleister Black. He's going to destroy him. And, that he's going to come out on top. And then I love because Fish and O'Reilly have tag team gold, they're higher up on the hierarchy. I mean, Adam Cole's Adam Cole and he's untouchable, but he even says champs take it away. So they actually speak after Cole. And if Cole ever wins the NXT title, I expect that to be flipped. But it's nice that they actually show appreciation. Like, no, champions take priority. I don't care what kind of champions they are. I think that's really cool. And then, O'Reilly pretty much says Street Profits, AOP, Street Profits. It really doesn't matter who comes out on top because in the end, the Undisputed Era are still going to be your undisputed tag team champions. And then Bobby Fish comes in and he says, gentlemen, understand that you are competing for the right to ultimately lose to us. So, I mean, they're just oozing that confidence, and I love it, dude. This is a great faction. I'm really into them
Yeah,
right now. Really
absolutely.
good stuff.
Yeah, I'm really digging the Undisputed Era. I love that they're like this, like you said, very confident. They said about Takeover is their event, and he said, everybody wants our tag titles, but this is the Undisputed Era. This is our era, and you're all just living in it.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And they're right. I mean, because they won at Takeover War Games. Adam Cole debuted at what was it? Takeover, I want to say what Houston or down. I feel like it was an event in Texas.
Oh
And
God, I have no
or
clue.
no, it was before that. It was before that because he that was when McIntyre
It was
beat.
Brooklyn 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Brooklyn 3. You're right. I'm thinking of when Andrade beat McIntyre, but yeah, Cole had nothing to do with that because that was War Games, I think, and he won
Yeah,
that.
that was Takeover War Games. It was
So
Brooklyn.
yeah, Adam Cole's already kind of building that takeover, kind of portfolio. I think it's gonna stop come Philly, although I might change my mind when we come to preview and predictions next week. But yeah, still great promo nonetheless.
Definitely, yeah. I enjoyed this promo quite a bit. And then we can move on because up next we got another promo. This from Aleister Black. I did my best to transcribe this, but there was a line towards the end that was really, really like washed out by the background music. Basically, he said, "I do not require extensions of myself. I was born a weapon. You brought me through this realm, Adam. You chose this path, and I will show true strength by exploiting your weakness, and I will rip you through that veil. I embody extreme." And then I didn't quite catch what he said in between that line and the fade to black.
Yeah, I love this. Like you, I didn't catch everything, but I mean that was a wonderful transcription of it. To me, this promo, I know it's not gonna happen, but I was kind of hoping that the story that Cole and Black are gonna angle for in their Extreme Rules match is that Cole is far more eager to utilize the rules than Black is. Like Black is just gonna dance with who brung him, right? The kickboxing and all that stuff. And Cole's just gonna be desperate to, use the kendo sticks, use the steel chairs until finally maybe in the finish, Alistair's like, fuck it, because he really wants to hurt Adam Cole and then he does something quote unquote extreme. But I would actually really like this to be more a wrestling match on Black's side because he's so confident in his abilities. Whereas Cole being the heel, he does utilize the weapons, he does utilize the shortcuts. I think that could be a very interesting story. Do I think it's the one they're going to tell? Obviously not. But just hearing Black's promo, I'm like, that would be a really cool route to take. That Black is just so confident in his ability and he just whoops Adam Cole's ass. And no matter if Cole employs a steel chair or a kendo stick, he just can't stop the force that's coming for him. So, but I still think it's going to be a great match nonetheless. I'm excited for this.
Yeah. All right, guys. I suppose we can move on then. Speaking of solid matches, up next we've got Roderick Strong versus Fabian Eichner. I enjoyed this, but it was a little shorter than I expected. I thought that Eichner would get a little bit more of a rub here than the 5-minute match that we basically got. And Roddy goes over with, I believe, the end of Heartache.
No, he got the stronghold. It was the submission.
Oh, that's right. I even had that in my notes. I don't know why I said the end of Heartache.
Again, another thing that I'm really liking because I'll tell you what, Fabian Eichner is really clicking with me. Like if he keeps getting featured like this, he may break out at the very least at number 5 in my fave fives because I love that he's bulked up. I love how he competes in ring. I'm still waiting, and again, this is what I mean by like being more featured. To see what the personality is. I'd like to hear a bit more Mike Org, even if it's just backstage stuff just to give me a sample of like what I can expect from him. But yeah, in the ring, dude's great. Like I'm into his matches. I still feel like his match with Gargano was fantastic. And of course, that was also due to Gargano because he's fantastic. But yeah, I think Fabian's definitely got the goods. I'm really excited to see what he does this year. And I'm really glad that he's a guy. And again, Morrow did a great job putting him over. Actually, all three of them did. Even Percy, when he chimed in, like, oh, he almost beat Andrade, who's the current NXT champion. Morrow chimes in, Johnny Gargano's the current number 1 contender. Fabian Eichner actually beat Johnny Gargano. So they really made Eichner seem
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that. That's crazy.
yeah, they really made him seem like he belonged in the ring with Roderick. And I think that's so important because I think anybody that, is like an indie fan, they could be turning it on and they may think, right? Oh, Roderick Strong against a scrub. And then like you get that breakdown. It's like, oh wait, this guy's beating Gargano. What? This guy's almost beating Almas. What? And it's crazy to think about. But yeah, Roderick does win the match. But I did like some of the counter wrestling here from Eichner. When he caught Roderick at one point, did that power slam. When he did the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker to the Messiah, the backbreaker, I kind of smirked a little. I wish commentary would have kind of pointed that out, but they didn't.
Oh, what are you doing, commentary? You slacking.
I know. When Roderick went for the Olympic slam and Eichner got the arm drag, I thought that was cool. So yeah, he was really hanging in there with Roderick, but it makes sense that he would win. I feel like they're kind of doing a similar thing with him that they did with Ono when he beat Raul Mendoza. It's just putting like one foot in front of the other. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't make Eichner look any worse for wear. And that's what we need. I want to get excited about these guys because while I adore Cole and I adore Black, I also adore Velveteen Dream. I'm really warming up to Fabian Eichner, and I want to start talking about these guys in a bigger role. And I hope NXT feels the same. And there's another guy, by the way. There's another guy that got spotlighted that I'm going to talk about him too when we get to it because I hope he gets talked more seriously about this year. But yeah, this is a solid match. And then Roderick gets on the mic and he more or less reiterates Lars Sullivan's promo, but he turns around on Sullivan, calling him out. So what do you think about that, Ashton? Sullivan wants Dane, but Strong wants Sullivan. How are we going to resolve this?
Yeah, I thought that this was really interesting because of the way Roddy basically just mimicked Lars Sullivan's promo from last week word for word and replaced Killian Dane with Lars Sullivan. I loved that. That was so effective to me. Because, like, as he was saying it and talking about how he found a monster that he wanted to be able to destroy, I was like, wait a minute, this sounds way too familiar. And then he calls out Lars, and I was like, oh my God, he just copied him. That was crazy.
Yeah, at first it was kind of weird to be honest. Like obviously it was completely different from a scenario where say somebody wasn't paying attention and then they just completely steal a line without knowing it. Looking at you, Tamina. But like what like is this like the monster killer Roderick Strong? Because I can get into that. Like with him being a babyface that moves and like has the work rate that he does, like the Energizer Bunny going after these behemoths. Like I can get into that story of like this giant killer, this monster slayer, Roderick Strong. But like, I don't know if it's going to be a triple threat now, if Lars is going to kill Dane, and then, well, Strong steps up and he's like, okay, well, then I really know you are the monster to beat. And he tries beating Lars again. Maybe this will even find its way because all roads inevitably do to being a number one contenders match. Like once Lars disposes of Dane, maybe Strong and Sullivan would be, a number one contenders match for the NXT Championship. I don't know what's going on, but it's intriguing. And right now, there hasn't even been a mention of the NXT Championship. It's more about, hey, I see what you can do. I want to tear you apart. And that's interesting enough for me. So I really got to commend NXT for this. This is some good shit.
Yeah, definitely. Up next, though, after Roddy's promo, we got this great like TM61 gag reel that was like
Yes.
they're like talking about, I don't even know what they were talking about. I just know that there was a lot of cursing and well, which really is to be expected because you can see pretty much any YouTube video uploaded by an Australian and that's just kind of their dialect. Like that's just kind of how they talk. It's not really a big deal over there. I loved it. I loved like the fact that NXT is actually showing, yeah, these guys do have a personality. They're entertaining. They're fun guys. You just got to get to know them better because we know damn well that they can go in the ring, brother.
Yes, and dude, here's the thing. Because normally I'm going to assume that you're a slightly bigger TM61 fan than me, but I'll be honest, I've really been missing these guys. So I think when they come back, I'm going to get behind them something fierce. Like this was so needed because I know you and I have been thinking about Nick Miller and Shane Thorne. We've been thinking about TM61, and I'm not saying other people haven't, but like you needed to kind of reassert them in the picture in some fashion, and I feel like they were more deserving than just TM61 returns, and then just they don't give a return date because they hate us. I thought this went above and beyond that because it goes from the gag reel to a really personal look at these guys. And I feel like NXT is at its best when it does shit like this because they've done it, for American Alpha when they were a tag team. They've done it, of course, for Roderick Strong, which I know we talked a lot about. Like when they spotlight an act, that to me is a very good sign because it says like you have a strong future with us. And, to know that they got trained by Harley Race, I did not know that. to know their history in Japan. Like, I know that they were
Well,
like,
they didn't really say that they got trained by him. They just said that he was more of a mentor figure to them.
right. But that they went to his school, though. So even if they weren't
Right.
trained by him directly, it was his school. Okay, so that was
Yeah.
my mistake. I apologize. But regardless, the idea that they even established that relationship, however loosely, was interesting to me because I was not aware of that. Knowing that they're these journeymen, right? That they've competed all over the world. Like, I knew that, but it was nice to get like touched upon that Japan history with the GHC tag titles. I thought that was very cool. This is what they needed, because if they would have just come back, and I mean this with all due respect, they would have just been a really good tag team. And that's fine, but it's like we've seen really good tag teams already. What sets you apart? Who are you? And that's why I feel like stuff like this is so invaluable, because like Roderick, who before, if I'm being truthful, and I like Roddy very much, you're just a really good wrestler. But after, that series, it's like, wow, he's a family man. His own family life was hard. I feel that human connection with him. I feel a human connection now with TM61 because they've gone through this now. It was Shane Thorne, right, that had the injury. Shane Thorne being injured. And now they're looking to come back and be the best tag team in the world. I resonate with that, that I feel a connection with that. I thought this was fantastic. I mean, what did you think about all the spotlighting they got?
Yeah, I love that they're getting this treatment because we've seen this done before with Becky Lynch, with Finn Balor. I can't even remember who else has been done for. I know it's been done like 4 or 5 times. And I feel like wasn't it even done for Johnny Gargano at one point? Or no, it was Roderick Strong is the other one that I'm thinking of. Roderick had it done.
Right.
I feel like every time they do this for somebody, it's because they are really prepping them for a monster push. And that excites the hell out of me because I absolutely love TM61. I think they're one of the most underrated tag teams in NXT because the people that followed them on the indies are always going to be like, oh, well, they're not going to be as good in WWE because they're going to have handcuffs. And the people that don't follow the indies think that they're boring. So to me, like, I feel like you and I are kind of at a nice in between spot where we followed them to a degree in New Japan and we're willing to keep our minds open to see how good they are in WWE. And then since they've been in WWE, I feel like they've had nothing but good to great matches since they've been in NXT. So I am really looking forward to getting these guys back in the ring. Hopefully, we see them either at TakeOver Philly or on the NXT TV after TakeOver Philly, or just sometime within the next month or so. And I'm just looking forward to seeing them get in the ring again and do what they do best. And really, I'm ecstatic for them that they're getting this sort of like behind the scenes look video package treatment that's been really reserved for only the elite few that NXT is really invested in and wants to push big time.
Yes, dude, this was great. And we got part 2 coming next week, so it's not done. Again, I love when NXT does this. I feel like they're at their best when they
I
do
wonder
this.
if they're gonna go next week, if they're gonna highlight their time in like Noah and New Japan and stuff.
I hope so, because again, they touched upon Noah very briefly when they said they won the GHC tag titles and
Yeah.
Harley Race was in attendance. I hope they delve deeper into that, because here's the thing too, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, it never happened, and like we were really hoping that they would return for that. And it would be this big thing because we both thought the tag team division desperately needed it. I would still say that they desperately need something like that, but I digress. So I feel like to compensate, TM61 definitely needed something like this, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy they got it. And yeah, I can't wait for the follow up next week. But in the meantime, I've said everything I can say about it without getting redundant. So unless you have anything you want to add, we can move on.
Let's move right along because up next we got Aaliyah versus Lacey Evans. And of course, as we did discuss earlier, Lacey won basically with a simple forearm. It was like the Nikki Bella style punch forearm, whatever you want to call it, where she really leans into it and then sells her fist afterwards, like it hurt her almost as much as it hurt her opponent. But really, to me, the newsworthy part isn't, oh, Lacey Evans beats Aaliyah. Nobody gives a shit about that. That's not really a big deal. The big deal was the post match promo that Lacey did cut.
Yes, and again, this is where I've got to be not necessarily a devil's advocate, because that would imply that I loved everything Lacey did, and that's not necessarily the point. I'm more defending what Lacey represents. I'm glad they gave her a mic. I want to see more acts that I'm not used to seeing get freaking mic time and get some shine. And I gotta be honest, I raised an eyebrow a little bit in a way that says, "Wow, I'm intrigued." when the first person she calls out is Nikki Cross. Because she says, I'm tired of this low-level trash. It's time for a classy, sophisticated woman, to clean house here in the NXT Women's Division. I don't care if it's that crazy Nikki Cross, that whatever she is, Ember Moon. And then she was about
I think she called Ember Moon confused.
Yeah, that confused whatever she is, which I kind of was like, okay, confused about what exactly? But
Who she is. I don't think anyone knows who Ember Moon is, including herself.
Well, I could give Lacey some points for that. But then she's about to diss Kyrie Sane. I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And then Shayna came out. And I'm like, oh my God, I've never been happier to see Shayna. But of course she's not going to lay her hands on Lacey. They're heels. But yeah.
I know. And honor amongst thieves, brother.
I know. But before I even transition to Shayna, because I don't want to rush this, I really do hope that because Nikki Cross is the first person that Lacey called out, and she sure as shit isn't ready for Ember Moon, because that all belongs to Shayna, which we'll get to in a second. I do hope Lacey and Nikki Cross do a little something, even if it's just one match. It's going to be on the post Takeover Philly show, which I'll be honest, would kind of bum me out. Like, I'd like a promo or two first. Give them something, But, I'm happy that she called her out. I'm happy that we're going to get what is going to be in all likelihood a mini feud in just the purest sense of the word. But you know what? I dig it, man. I'm for it. Let's do it. I mean, I know you and I have been saying for a while now, there have got to be more feuds that aren't completely centered around the championship. And if the whole story with Lacey is, I don't see you as becoming, to be a part of a women's division like what I envision, I can dig that a little bit. So I'm willing to give it a chance and see where it goes. But who isn't willing to give people a chance? Shayna Baszler, because all she knows how to do is just beat the shit out of people. So she walks down to the ring with a purpose. And because I'm an asshole, Aaliyah has her back to Shayna. And the moment Shayna grabs Aaliyah, I say to myself, surprise, motherfucker. And she puts the Kirifuda clutch on her and chokes her out. And then I proceed to laugh my ass off because, well, shit, it's not happening to me. So, of course, it's fucking hilarious. And when she slowly loses consciousness, I'm like, that's right. Shh, 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 you're okay. And she just fades, into darkness. And then Ember Moon comes out, chases Shane off. And I will give Ember credit here, right? Because is she an excellent promo? No. And even I've said that, and I am an Ember Moon fan. I'm fair enough that I can criticize her where she needs to be criticized. But I do find it impressive that this crowd was initially hostile to Ember in a way because they're like, Shayna's gonna kill you. Feeding frenzy, right? Wanting to see Shayna whoop that ass. And Ember's like, Shayna, is that really what you're about? Coming in here and bullying people? Why don't you try coming in here and bullying me? And then Shayna's like, oh, I don't have my gear. I'll do it when you put your title on the line. And Ember's like, oh, you don't have your gear? Is that what you're telling me? You name the time and you name the place. And I'll bring my gear, and I'll bring my title, and you better bring your gear, Shayna, because I'm gonna beat that ass, or beat your ass. And I love that she said it, and it didn't get bleeped out or anything like that, because then the crowd chanted to end the segment, beat her ass. I love it. Ember may not be an excellent promo, but the idea that she got the crowd kind of on her side to end it when they were antagonistic towards her to begin with, I thought was very impressive. And I actually enjoyed this exchange. What did you think about it?
Yeah, man. I really enjoyed Lacey's promo, but then I feel like when Ember Moon started talking, it's almost like she was exposed. Like, she is just not a good promo. I wish she was. Like, she does try and she does have some conviction behind her words and stuff, but it just feels like a little girl trying to come off as this big, scary, intimidating character, and it just doesn't work for me.
And I can understand that. I mean, even Paul just said in chat, like, John, don't hate me, but why is Ember champion when there's everyone else? And hey, guys, I don't vehemently disagree. I do support. I really am hoping. If you guys want to know what my hope is personally, because she's got the in-ring down. I enjoy Ember Moon's matches. I think she's fun to watch. The character, though, is ill-defined. I would hope that one of these days she would get either a character overhaul where there would be some kind of a shift, maybe even a heel turn where maybe she could get a personality more fleshed out, something. because I do think the in-ring's there, but I'll be the first one to say the personality is not. But I have to give credit where credit is due. If the aim of a promo, or one of the aims anyway of a promo, is to get a crowd behind you, I feel like she kind of succeeded here, because this crowd originally went from, oh yeah, Shayna, kill her, to, oh man, Ember's actually got some fire behind her. She's serious. Yeah, beat her ass. Like, they want to see him fight. And
You know
I
what
don't
though,
know.
John? To me, that's the exact kind of promo that translates to the smaller NXT crowd that will not translate to a bigger Raw or SmackDown crowd.
And
And
I will agree with you there. I will
yeah,
agree with you there.
because
Yeah.
it works. It works when the people that you're talking in front of are already invested in you and like you. But when they're unfamiliar with you, that's the kind of shit that will get you what chance.
Right. And I do agree with you. Yeah, that I will not dispute. I don't even know when they would intend to call Ember up, because maybe they have the similar concerns as we do. But at least she played to the venue, and they got into it. I do hope one day she can improve. Does it seem likely? I'm not gonna say no necessarily. It really depends. She needs something else. I know DBK sent me like this little mini documentary I think the WWE did on her that was like 14 minutes. I haven't watched it yet. Maybe I should, and maybe I would come away with some new insights, like, wow, why aren't they doing this instead, or something like that. But yeah, I mean, the character is definitely an issue. And Paul, really, to answer your question, you say why her when there's everyone else? Like, me and Ashton both, and you guys have heard us say it the last few weeks, we are licking our chops for a Shayna Baszler title reign, because I'm
Yeah,
trying to
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have a lot of restraint to not predict like two and possibly even all three titles changing hands next Thursday.
Oh, it's going to be hard for me too, brother. I'm going to be very interested to what you and I are locking in respectively, because I'm telling you, this is either going to be one of those cards where we agree on everything, because we just can't like ignore those impulses of like, are they really going to do like a sweep, or are they going to do some big shakeups? Or we may disagree on one or two matchups. Like, it's either we're going to disagree very little, or we're going to agree completely. I just feel like it's going to be one of those cards where it's not necessarily going to be combative, but it's definitely going to be like, I think you and I are both seeing the same vision that NXT is trying to execute here. And as far as the women's division goes, Shayna is rightfully, hopefully, a big part of that vision. And I got to say, too, speaking of Shayna and things that she's been a part of, love that we didn't see Kyrie again this week. Keep selling that Kirifuda clutch. Absolutely. It's good shit, man. Good shit.
And you know what? Dominique Adams does have a good point too. I am kind of worried that Philly is going to cheer Shayna over Ember. It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah. The crowd is always concerning, but you know what though? That's to start the run, and then I'm sure they would work in plenty of cities and stuff like that where Shayna would hopefully get heat. But then of course I think that's also determinant on what kind of babyface are you working with, and that's going to be a test for Kyrie as well. Because for as much as I love Kyrie, I'm going to have to be honest with myself there too if I feel like she's not making as strong a crowd connection as I would like her to make, especially if you're going against a heel the caliber of Shayna Baszler. So I'm telling you, man, even though it's kind of in a weird place right now with Ember as champion, I think the next few months for the women's division are going to get very interesting, so long as they pull the trigger initially on Shayna becoming champion.
Wouldn't it be just so wonderful if half of the Mae Young Classic women that actually deserve to be on television actually got an opportunity to be, on television? It would be wonderful.
Yeah, it would be nice, man. It'd be really nice, but
I would
unfortunately,
really
we're not
love it
quite
if we
there
would
yet.
get, Santana Garrett, or more than one segment of Dakota Kai that lasts 2 minutes, or more than two segments of Mercedes Martinez, or, like anything at this point of like Candice LeRae, or, Mia Yim coming back would be great. Man, that Mae Young Classic sure had a lot of talent in it. Share is a shame they're not using anyone after they had that tournament that they didn't use prior to it, other than Shayna herself and Kyrie, I guess, who were the finalists.
Yeah. Was really hoping we'd see more Mercedes Martinez. I mean, she did have that one match with Ember, but that was to kind of put Ember over before she won the title. I mean,
Yeah.
Candice LeRae did get signed, but it's Candice, and I'll be honest. If we're being
Where's Tony Storm? Why did they not sign her?
I don't know. I don't know. And if we're being truthful, because I'm not saying like we're being overly critical, we're just being honest where we see deficiencies. I do worry a bit about because I'm so used to her like in that intergender role. I mean, she did fine in the Mae Young Classic though, so I guess she will be fine like in a women's division. I just hope that like because for me, right in PWG, I feel like where Candice really thrived was like being a badass. I don't really know what her personality is going to be in NXT when she's just facing other women, So I'll be curious what they do with Candice because I do have my reservations about that. But yeah, I do think the women's division is going to get a bit interesting. But I agree with you. You have so many resources, so many worthwhile competitors from the NYC. Tap into that. Tap into those reserves. But regardless, we do get confirmed Shayna versus Ember at Takeover Philly. So let's hope we finally get that ball rolling.
All right, man. Well, speaking of getting the ball rolling, let's get the ball rolling past this segment because up next we had a Christy St. Cloud segment with William Regal, and he talks about he's going to acquiesce to Ember Moon and give Shayna that title shot against her in Philly. And again, who shows up?
Zelina Vega. And she ultimately comes out and says Johnny Gargano doesn't deserve his championship opportunity against Andrade Cien Almas at TakeOver Philly. Velveteen Dream made some good points. It should be him fighting Andrade and not Johnny Gargano. And I would advise that if Johnny really wants to prove that he belongs in the ring with Andrade, that he put his title shot on the line. And then Rico says, well, I would advise Johnny not to do that. And Zelina's like, well, of course you would, because you know deep down that Johnny Gargano can't beat Andrade Cien Almas, and he can't beat Velveteen Dream. So again, it's pushing that doubt narrative that, it's old and it's simple, but when you've got a really great and really hot underdog babyface, it freaking works. And boy, does it work here, not just because of the table setting, but because of what we get after it, because then we go back to commentary. They're starting to, run down TakeOver Philly and stuff when Johnny Gargano comes out. And because I know what a huge Gargano fan you are, brother, and you already said this was your segment of the night, I'm going to give you the reins on this. Set the table and then tell us what you thought about it.
Johnny Gargano really has seamlessly stepped into the role of top babyface in NXT. And I don't think we've seen anybody exceed at that role as much as Gargano is right now since Finn Balor.
Yeah, dude, he is crazy over. It's nuts.
He is insanely over. He makes his way to the ring and he talks about how he is not a loser. He is not a fluke. Talking about this is my time. This is my opportunity and no one's going to stop me. And he even agrees to put his opportunity on the line against Velveteen Dream next week. And while he's trying to say that, we get these insanely loud Johnny wrestling chants. And then he even says, for the first time in a very long time, I know exactly who I am. I am Johnny Gargano. I am Johnny freaking wrestling. And I am the next NXT champion. I loved this promo with a passion. This was the best promo that we've gotten in NXT since Drew McIntyre's sort of championship address after he first won the title. This was brilliant.
This was absolutely fantastic. I feel like this is the promo Gargano needed. Because you're showing that fire. And I love the way he ended it because we know the longer, the arching story, the overall arching story for Gargano was this identity crisis post DIY, finding himself again. So when he says, for the first time in a long time, I know who I am. I'm Johnny Gargano. I'm Johnny freaking wrestling. Put some stank on it. And I am the next NXT champion. That lets you know, okay, Johnny can't be more prepared to fight the NXT champion than he is right now because he's got that one aspect that he's been missing in every other big match situation, whether it was Andrade, at that first takeover or Pete Dunne for the UK championship, all that stuff. He knows who he is and he knows he's capable. And that's great storytelling to me because he figures it out right before the biggest of big matches, the NXT championship. He's got to get through Velveteen Dream first, but he's going to be no slouch after that clinic he had with Aleister Black. But it's great to see that confidence from Gargano. I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. This is a great promo from him. And I'm telling you, this is a baby face that'll make anybody, whether it's another baby face, especially your heels, anybody look fantastic. And you know what? Like if Johnny would get called up, I would want him to work with like a heel like The Miz because I feel like they could make fucking magic together and stuff like that. Like this is not an act you waste, in my opinion, in the cruiserweight division. Like you put him in that mid card and you slowly build him up and you get him in that main event scene because he is that good. Like much like Aleister in his own way, I think he's a license to print money. I really do. And yeah, Johnny, just great work here.
Yeah.
All right, what came after this?
What did you say?
I said, what came after this?
After this was our recap of Undisputed Era beating down Sanity last week, and then our main event, Street Profits versus Authors of Pain. And I'm going to let you handle all this, brother.
Well, actually, before that, I don't know where this was placed on the show, and you must like I knew it happened, but I don't take notes, so I didn't know where it happened. Remember, No Way Jose said that he's going to.
Oh yeah, that was actually in between Zelina shitting on Johnny Wrestling and then Gargano's promo.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I love that No Way Jose addressed 2017. It had its ups, it had its downs, but 2018 is gonna be my year. I forget the name he called like his rise to the top. It was either something express or train. He used like that kind of imagery, but he said it begins next week. And again, I applaud NXT for taking a lower card act. And when he first came on the scene, you and I were very high on him and his promo ability and his charisma. And now he's going to be reintroduced into the fold because I don't know what's going to happen in TakeOver Philly. I mean, I have an idea, but say hypothetically, right? Andrade beats Johnny Gargano. Why not build up No Way Jose as a potential contender? I could vibe with that match. Freaking No Way Jose versus Andrade Cien Almas. Absolutely. Absolutely, I could ride with that. Like, I'm hoping they build up No Way Jose this time. I think it's a great character. He's got great charisma. And yeah, these are the kinds of acts I love watching NXT for. So seeing him get a bit spotlighted really made me smile. I'm like, okay, NXT, like you realize that you have more people than Aleister Black, then Johnny Gargano, then Adam Cole, and you're really bringing them out of the woodwork. So I thought that was very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, beyond that, because I just want to touch on that because it really made me happy to see No Way Jose get spotlighted. Tag team number one contention main event. Gotta be truthful. Really didn't care too much for this. To me, this was kind of the low point of the show. Not that it was a horrible match by any means. Like it was a good match, but it was like, all right, because it just really, to me, Street Profits never really did come across as genuine contenders because they had beaten nobodies up to this point. And then when you put them up against AOP and say what you will about AOP, and we certainly have on this podcast, to me, even just by appearances, they look like the number one contenders more than Street Profits do. So I don't know. I just felt kind of a disconnect with this match. Did love the Street Profits gear though. I love that they came out decked out and they did some fun stuff here. They had one double team that seemed like, I'm gonna lift this guy up almost like in a heart attack position, but it was a drop kick. I thought that was pretty cool. But AOP, they get their super collider, they get their last chapter, and they win. I mean, what more can you really say than that? I feel like honestly, this is a glorified squash match in a way. And this is a problem with NXT. And this is why I want them to bring out more people because, you had the Street Profits beat Scrubs. And then they were like, oh, we're better than all these teams and we want a number one contendership match. And then you get a match like this when these guys are supposed to be the babyfaces and I should root for them. But I really didn't care for them. Not that I'm giving up on the actor. I'm throwing him aside. But it's
I mean, yeah, to me, there's a clear upper echelon of tag teams in NXT, and that upper echelon consists of AOP, Sanity, Undisputed Era, and that's it. And like below that notch, you have like Heavy Machinery, Heavy Machinery would be like right underneath them, and then like TM61 is kind of even in between Heavy Machinery and that top tier, and they just need one big win over one of those top tier teams to break into that top tier. But then you've got Heavy Machinery under that, and then under that I would say would be like Street Profits, and then under that would be Green and Moss, and then under that is everyone else. Did I forget any teams?
I mean, brother, I'm going to be truthful with you. And maybe just because I was so irritated that NXT was so lazy here in setting up the Street Profits as only potential contenders because they didn't really cross that threshold. Like TM61 has been gone for the longest time because, Shane Thorne's injury.
Dude, they've been gone for close to a year. I think that injury happened in like this past like January or February, didn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like even the work they did like prior to that injury made them more credible and worthwhile number one contenders than what Street Profits have been doing in the present. Like I don't believe them right now. That's not to say I won't believe them ever, which is why
honestly I think that we should have had. I mean, to be fair, I didn't really need another Street Profits versus Riddick and Sabatelli, Moss and Sabatelli match again, but I would have still felt better about switching Heavy Machinery with Street Profits and just dealing with another one of those matches. But then we get Heavy Machinery versus AOP. That feels more like an even matchup to me than Street Profits versus AOP.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely
But
agree with
Heavy
you.
Machinery doesn't run their mouths, so they didn't get the match like Street Profits did.
Right, which what a horrible precedent that sets. You run your mouth enough, you'll get a number one contendership match. Well, I guess everybody should just, start complaining and thinking they're hot shit.
I mean,
Um,
that's kind of how things are run in WWE. Remember, the only reason Charlotte got a women's championship match as soon as she got to SmackDown is because she asked for it and no one else did.
that's so true. Oh my god, this is really horrible. But yeah, AOP wins. Honestly, this may be the best match that they have because it's fucking Red Dragon, and I love those guys, and they're a lot of fun to watch. So, congratulations. You might actually be, carried to a really decent match since you started working with DIY and the Revival. And yeah, that's really all I can say about that. That was the main event of NXT. We closed with AOP triumphant. And yeah, that to me again was the low point of the show because I just felt a complete disconnect on what was otherwise a really great episode to me, especially again for all the spotlighting they did. And I know you liked all the promotion they did for Takeover Philadelphia. So with that said, do you have anything else you want to say about NXT before we get into our next segment?
I don't think so. Let's get into it.
High spots and low shots. Low shots are real simple. Street Profits. You talked like you were hot shit, but you were exposed as warm farts, you bunch of scrubs. Go back to the fucking drawing board and try again.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, my low shot's gonna be Aaliyah because even though she didn't talk shit, she still got beat by a straight punch by Lacey Evans, and then she got referred to as the lowest form of societal trash, and then she got choked out by a Kirifuda clutch by Shayna Baszler. So yeah, she really was everyone's punching bag tonight.
I almost, because if I was, that would imply that I'd have a conscience, and we just can't have that happen. Almost felt bad for Aaliyah tonight. I just feel like what happened to her has been a microcosm of her entire NXT run. Like, she gets ghosted for a few months, comes back, and maybe she's really to herself, okay, tonight it's all gonna come together for me. I've got the music. I still don't really know how to work the crowd in my entrance, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do it where it counts between the ropes, and I'm gonna win. Yeah.
I'm
And then
really
she gets
pretty
utterly
and I'm gonna pose and they're gonna love me.
me, and then I'm gonna win, and I'm gonna do
It's
it.
all about me.
God, I miss her. But then
I
she's
really
like, and
hope
I'm gonna win, and then she just gets utterly demolished, not just by a competitor, mind you, but by the greatest force of all, reality. And yeah, it's just never gonna be kinder to her
And
ever.
then reality just continues said beat down for not one but two competitors, since you said not by a competitor.
Exactly, yes. So yeah, I love your choice of Aaliyah, but moving right along, as far as the high spot goes, well, my honorary high spot's always going to be commentary because I freaking adore their faces. Hell, even
And my honorary high spot is going to be whoever I name here because my actual high spot is always Adam Cole anytime he's on the show. And his streak continued tonight because he was on that promo early in the show.
dude, he said that he has 1,001 ways that he could just mangle Aleister Black, and I believe him because unlike Chris Jericho, Adam Cole doesn't do hyperbole; he does nothing but truth.
And it seems to
Um,
me like Adam Cole has 1,001 ways to find his way onto NXT TV shows because he's been on every single one since his debut.
and it already makes the product so much better.
I know,
Um,
dude. He also has the longest streak of my high spot ever because he's been on every show, and every show he's on gets hit my high spot. Even if I name someone else, that's just an honorary high spot.
So you automatically have the best high spot. I can concede because it's Adam Cole's world and I'm privileged to breathe its air. Um, my high spot again, my honorary high spot always goes to commentary because I'm just
I mean, I just kind of assumed who you were going to give your high spot to since you said it was segment of the night.
yeah, but and see, like I wanted to do that, but it wasn't really anything like in ring. I mean, I might just say screw it and go with that anyway. But I wanted to be a bit thoughtful here. Um, you know what? Yeah, screw it.
Brilliant.
I mean, they did the best thing. I'd love to give it to somebody that actually did something tonight. I mean, I like that Lacey Evans got spotlighted. Ember Moon, it was a passable promo again because it got the crowd, into it. But TM61, man, they needed this. They're coming back. I'm hyped. You're hyped. Everybody and their grandmother's hyped. And not in that horrible. Well, now I can say Montez Ford because Mojo Rawley's heel. He doesn't do hype no more. Um, way. But yeah, TM61, they are so needed in the tag team division. They've been on my mind a lot lately, and thankfully they've been on NXT's mind too. And yeah, good shit. So now, really, all that leaves, because we already know your high spot's Adam Cole. Who's your honorary high spot? Again, to pick Adam Cole's scraps.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's got to go to Johnny Gargano. He had the best segment of the night, in my opinion, and the great promo. And he was really kind of a big focus of the show because, he got brought up by William Regal and, well, not by William Regal, but by Zelina Vega to William Regal in the segment prior. So he was just kind of a prominent figure. And really, I mean, did any of the match winners on this show really deserve that much praise when you look at who their opponents were? Come on now.
I mean, not really. I think Johnny Gargano is an excellent choice. I mean, this guy just commands the fucking crowd and is just such a mega baby face. It's crazy. I'm happy for him. And really, even though I'm sure we all know how that reign is going to end, and believe me, I will delight in every bit of it. A Johnny Gargano NXT Championship reign, because he's so great as a babyface, it opens up possibilities for heels that you wouldn't even expect to challenge for that championship. And I feel like that's the kind of champion we need, to get those unlikely contenders. Because just to go back to what I've been saying all night, that's been kind of my theme that I've been bringing to the table: spotlighting. You've got a lot of talents on here. Let's see some of them. And they're not always going to be perfect when they first appear, but I'd like to see them get better, because that to me is the best part of being a long-standing watcher of NXT. So yeah, Gargano, he's owning shit. I think he'd make a great NXT champion, and I would hope that we'd get some mileage out of the reign, because he's a guy that can work with anybody and make it money. So great choice. I completely agree. I always ask you if you have anything to say about NXT, and you always say no. So I'm guessing that's the same here. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Well, now you make me really want to think about it. No.
Yeah, and there it is. All right, so I love too that you're like, well, I'll show him. Shit. But no.
I just wanted to be a little bitch about it. Okay.
It's quintessentially you. But regardless, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my coordinating commentary. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for NXT reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. You can find all of our stuff in the description box, all of our social media, everything that TWitWoW is associated with. Two things that I always like to plug. First of all, the Teespring. We've got the Tranquilo shirt that Ashton recently made. I think it is a great design. It's simplistic, but so clever. I love it. If you're an LIJ fan, if you're an Andrade fan, or if you just believe in the philosophy of Tranquilo, it is the shirt for you. But if you're like, nah, man, don't tell me in my anxiety what to do. Fuck you. All right, man. Take it easy. Take it easy. We got shirts for you, too. We got a Braun Strowman, I'm not finished with you. And we've got an Emma, real face of the Women's Revolution t-shirt. And, you're going to want to get those, because we said earlier in the podcast that we miss Emma. We know she's going to be back. We know she's not going to stay off the radar for long. Talents like that always show up in another promotion, and you don't want to be left behind, do you? You don't want to be the person that's like, oh, wow, Emma's on this promotion, and I really wish I had that shirt, but I don't. I mean, just imagine. Can you feel it? Can you feel the judgment? I'm judging you right now.
Imagine not being prepared for Emma's debut in Lucha Underground.
Exactly. I mean, do you want to be that person?
God, how wonderful would that be? It made me so happy.
It'd make me happy too. And you want us to be happy, right? And you want to be happy, so get that shirt. And then if you're thinking, wow, John, you're being really aggro. Yeah, I am. And so you should just get the shirt so we can all be happy. So that's the Teespring. The other thing I like to plug, guys, is the Patreon. Right now, we are in the midst of doing progress live reactions, and it is amazing. We just did Chapter 3 this past Tuesday. It was wonderful. Like, the collective existence that made progress happen with all the donations. Thank you, guys. But we want to keep it going. It would be super awkward, to get to, the few chapters to round out the month, and then we get to February, and it's like, oh, Guess we're not going to find out how that plays out. And then it's like, no, we need to know. So make sure you keep it going. Now, if you're thinking, I don't got to donate, they're good. They're over the hill. It changes. That Patreon oscillates every month. So if you want to make sure that we stay in the game, that we're still doing progress, that you've got live reactions coming into your sub box every Tuesday at 3 p.m. EST, you can donate $3 to be a part of the TWitWoW Discord. I think it's the most intimate experience we offer the fan base. You guys get to talk with us, rap with us about Raw, SmackDown, general events, video games. There's a not suitable for work chat that me and James have kind of monopolized, but we're freaky people. So if you want to get in on that, we more than welcome it. Just anything you'd want to talk about, the Discord services those needs. So yeah, be sure to join it. And again, for $3 a month, you stay in there for 10 months, that's $30. You can cash it in for a live reaction to a 3-hour show. That's just one example. We had Cliff Amalt, to give you a real world example, very recently. It was a long-standing member of the Discord. Cash in his chips, his tab, for over a $50 live reaction and review combo of WrestleMania 5. I still need to give him a stern talking to about his show quality, the shows that he picks, but he paid a pretty penny because he was a long-standing member of the Discord. That can be you. You can make us suffer. Isn't that fun? I mean, not for me necessarily, but for you guys, absolutely. So get on it, guys. Join the Discord. Donate if you can. We appreciate all donations, and it just makes us do amazing projects like Progress, and I want to keep those up in 2018. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this week. Next week, though, content gets a little crazy because Monday, we've got more reactions coming from Cliff Amalt. Again, he had a lot of chips to cash in. We're going to be live reacting, I think, to a different assortment of matches. I'm assuming Ashton go live at 3 p.m. with that on Monday. So
I believe so, but you know what? Here's the beautiful thing, guys. If you're not sure when we go live, you can go to my Twitter profile, which is linked in the description, and my pinned tweet is a schedule. And all you got to do is look on Monday, 122, and you can see that, yes, sir, we are going live at 3 p.m. with Cliff Amal's requested match live reactions.
Yeah, so you guys are going to want to be there on Monday for that. Tuesday is going to be Progress Chapter 4, and we got announced on Progress Chapter 3 that the main event of that show is going to be the Progress champion, the show stealer, Nathan Cruz, versus El Ligero for the championship. Going to be very interesting to live react to that. Can Nathan Cruz continue his Progress championship reign? You guys will find out Tuesday. We go live at 3 with that. Wednesday is going to be Lucha Rewatch episode 14. That'll be covering episodes 27 and 28 because today we covered episodes 25 and 26. We'll be going live with that at 5. And then at 9, as you guys are already hearing the outro for this, it'll be NXT. It'll be the go-home show for TakeOver Philadelphia. So it's going to be very interesting. We'll get to unpack the final NXT before TakeOver. Thursday is going to be preview and predictions for TakeOver Philadelphia. We're going to be going live with that. I'd say what, Ashton? 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock? Well, actually, no. It's probably, yeah, what was that?
What are we going live with when? What?
Thursday, TakeOver Philadelphia preview and predictions. Next week.
Let me find it. Thursday, TakeOver Philadelphia preview predictions will be at 5 p.m. Eastern time because then we do our Q&A at 7.
That, holy shit, I actually forgot about Q&A. Thank you. So yeah, we go live with that at 5. That's my mistake. 5. Yeah, Thursday is going to be nuts. And that's TakeOver Philadelphia preview and predictions. And then, like Ashton said, Thursday is Q&A, which I might as well do that now, even though it's kind of going out of order. I usually do Q&A at the end. If you haven't submitted your questions yet, please submit them, guys, because Q&A is going to be January 25th for this month. So you've got 8 days to submit your questions. That's just a little over a week. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, your best places to submit Q&A questions. You're permitted up to 4 questions per Q&A. Get them in if you haven't. You can divvy them up any way you want. If you've got a question specifically for me, you can ask just me. If you have a question specifically for Ashton, you can ask Ashton. Or if you're like, no, I want 2 perspectives at the price of 1 question, you can do that too. The power is yours. So get it in before the 25th. Be Q&A. They're always crazy. They're always a fun time, and they're always a deep-seater. Let your voice be heard. With that said, moving right along, Friday, it's going to be Royal Rumble preview and predictions. And Jesus Christ, guys, I mean, Royal Rumble is always, I think it's one of the best preview and predictions we do, because it's not just talking about the matches. And this Royal Rumble card seems more stacked from previous years, if for no other reason, because we're getting a women's Rumble as well. But Ashton and myself, we always do those little Rumble mini games, and I think they're going to get expanded this year because we have a women's Rumble and everything. So you're really going to want to be here. I think, again, it's one of the best preview predictions we do, because, it's Royal Rumble and it's one of the biggest events that WWE just has all year. It's the beginning of the road to WrestleMania. So Friday's preview predictions are going to be insane. Rather than once again incorrectly guess a wrong time for that, you guys can, of course, look at Ashton's pinned tweet with the schedule to see when we go live with that. But yeah, I would strongly urge you guys not to miss it. It's going to be a really fun commentary. Saturday, then, is going to be live reactions to TakeOver Philadelphia. I know we go live with that at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be one hell of a show, headlined by Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas for the NXT Championship. Those live reactions are going to be absolutely insane because Ashton's a huge Johnny Gargano mark. I'm all about El Idolo. So I think it's going to be just insane. I'm really excited for it. This is a worthwhile answer to Wrestle Kingdom 12. Let's see how much heat that they're going to be packing on Saturday. And then Sunday, guys, we go to distance because it's another one of the big four. It's a behemoth. It's Royal Rumble 2018 live reactions. And you know what? Much like the Royal Rumble itself, and much like I said about preview predictions, these live reactions are interesting because it's the Rumble. You never know who's going to come out, who's going to get what number.
Did you mention that we're live reacting to Raw 25 on Monday?
Oh, you're right. We are live reacting to Raw 25 on Monday because I mentioned the Patreon, but not Raw 25. Yeah, guys, again, when we said this week was stacked, I'm forgetting stuff. We're that stacked. Jesus Christ. Raw 25, we're live reacting all 3 hours, going from 8 to 11. I mean, Raw last week, I actually feel like Raw was the better show this week. I felt like they were better than SmackDown. I mean, we got the return of the curb stop, which I lost my fucking shit over. Let's hope that Raw 25 has just as many worthwhile segments to marking out for or just live reacting to in general. Raw 25, you're going to want to be there for it. Again, guys, with how stacked next week is, I cannot implore all of you enough. I think I may even send a tweet out when we get done recording so that it reaches everybody. Check Ashton's pinned tweet, see what we've got coming up next week, because I don't want any of you missing it. It's going to be huge. So yeah, Raw 25 live reactions, that goes live at 8. And then again, to just finish plugging, live reacting to Royal Rumble on Sunday. That it's going to be just fucking massive, guys. And it's the first step on the road to WrestleMania again. So if we're deflated, that probably means WrestleMania is going to suck. And if we're surprisingly electric, maybe WrestleMania will be decent this year. Yeah, guys, next week, if you're a hardcore TWitWoW fan, it's going to be an amazing time for you. I will tell you that right now. And with that said, I've taken up enough time on this outro, probably because we've got so much content coming your way in the very near future. Take care of yourselves, guys. Thank you to everybody that joined us tonight. Love you all. Keep loving that wrestling. And until then, tune in and peace out.